Bigfoot outpaces 25-mile-per-hour truck on dirt road in Wasatch Mountains. We have investigated dozens of Sasquatch sightings, including a Bigfoot video along this giant mountain range on the north end of the Wasatch Mountain Range. I know close to a dozen people personally that have sightings and encounters with Bigfoot on this mountain, including my own Bigfoot sighting encounter on the south slope of this mountain just a couple of years ago. We enjoy documenting and investigating Bigfoot sighting hotspot locations and want to make sure the history of this creature is preserved. So if you have had a Bigfoot sighting, please email us at rmsobigfoot@gmail.com. We want to hear from you even if your sighting was 50 years ago or just last week. I would like to show you around the area as we look for signs of Bigfoot while I go over this guy's report. James writes RMSO. Let me start out by saying that I have not ever submitted this incident with any other organization prior to this. This happened to me and my best friend around July of 1988. My friend passed away in 2018. He and I had recounted the incident to our families and some of our close friends, but we had never discussed reporting it to any organization or to any authorities. I have been following your organization for a few years now, and I think you are the best ones to report this to, since you have investigated several other sightings or incidences in the same area where this happened. A little background on both of us. I grew up in and have lived around the Ogden area for the majority of my life. I spent some time in the military outside of Utah, then came home and stayed in the Utah National Guard. I grew up in a family that spent a lot of time in the mountains, camping, hunting, fishing, and off-roading all over the state. The majority of that time, though, has been spent in the mountains closest to home. My friend and I met while working together as teenagers and stayed close friends all the way up to his passing. We spent as much time as we could exploring the mountain roads and camping around places like Avon Pass, Ant Flat Road, and of course all the roads over Monte Cristo in that area. When we were younger and worked together, we usually didn't finish work until late at night, around midnight most of the time. Many times when we would get done at work, we would hit a drive-through, grab some food, head up to the Monte area to drive around and explore. The night this happened was one of those nights. We left work in my friend's '85 Toyota truck around midnight, grabbed some food, and headed up the canyon. We started off by cutting across Ant Flat Road, heading to Hardware Ranch. At that time, he'd never gone east past Hardware Ranch. That night, we got a wild hair and decided to go to see what was east down that road. As we were driving around, we saw a sign for a place called Bug Lake. We had never heard of it before, so we decided to go that way to check it out. When we got there, we were a little disappointed to say the least. What is named a lake, it's really more like a small pond. We saw the road around the lake headed back toward Monte Cristo, so we decided to keep going that way and check it out. Away we went. We had drove around, took a couple of dead-end logging trails, and backed out to the main road. I am sure you're familiar with the road. When we got a ways down the road, we noticed something in the trees on the side of the hill on the passenger side, maybe 30 feet or so off the road, and it was pacing us along the road. We were probably only moving 10 to 15 miles per hour. That road does not really allow for much faster than that. We thought it was maybe an elk or a moose and didn't think much of it at first. A few feet further along the road, it dropped on the road next to the truck. I had not yet noticed it next to my door when all of a sudden the hair on my arms and the back of my neck was standing on end. I looked over to my friend driving, and he was white as a ghost and staring out my window. When I turned to look that direction, all I could see was a dark, hairy figure running next to the truck. At that point, all I could see was from about mid-bicep area to the elbow, as it was swinging its arms as it ran. It looked to me like it had hands, not paws, but hands with opposable thumbs. Its shoulders and head were above the cab of the truck. Then my friend started to speed up to nearly 30 miles per hour. The creature then ran past the truck, past us about 20 to 30 yards. It took one step to the center of the road, turned its head toward the truck, and I swear it's like it was looking at us. And the next step, it was up over the other side of the road and down the side of the hill into the trees, and we lost sight of it. We were pretty freaked out, and my friend kept the truck running about 25 miles per hour the rest of the way along the road until we reached paved road at Highway 39. We didn't stop until we reached the spring that comes out of the side of the mountain a few miles down the road. We stopped and both questioned each other about what the other one had saw. And we both saw the same thing, and we both described what we saw almost to a T. Later on that summer and fall, we tried to find and figure out where the road was, and a few times we didn't get back there because something would stop us, like a large log had fallen across the road. The following spring, there was a large snowdrift across the road. It actually took us until the summer of 1991 until we were finally able to get back there to where Bug Lake was. I will say that prior to this experience, I had really no real knowledge about Bigfoot, except for a few sightings around Highway 84 in Riverdale, and there were some in the Ogden Standard in the early 80s. Then they had Bigfoot on the old $6 Million Man TV show when I was growing up. My friend had lived in the Bay Area of California the year before he and I had met, so he had heard some things and some stories of Bigfoot in North California, but he still had limited knowledge. I mean, at the time, you couldn't just Google things, and neither of us really had the time to invest in any kind of serious inquiries into the subject. We continued to camp in the area together at least a couple of times a year to try and see if we could see it again. Since he has been gone, me and my kids still try to get up there and camp at least 1 or 2 weekends a year. If you have any questions or want to discuss my sighting incident, feel free to reach out to me by email, and I'd be happy to give you my phone number. Thanks for taking the time to read this, and I wish you well. Best of luck, James. RMSO responds, "Hi James, we know of several people personally that have had Bigfoot sightings on that same mountain, including a couple of our team members. It towered over the cab of the truck. What height and width estimate would you be able to determine with it compared to being next to the truck? Did you ever see the head profile or see the face or eyes? Were you able to tell what color the creature's hair was? Appreciate all the details of your report." James continues, "Hello, Kelly. Thanks for reaching out to me. The top of the truck was about 5 feet 8 inches or so high, so I'd say it was at least 7.5 feet tall. The shoulders and head were both above the cab. From my point of view, it looked like the top of the window was just below chest height. It was pretty wide across the chest, but hard to give a good estimate. The way it turned and looked at us when it crossed the road put the chest at an angle, so any guess wouldn't be very accurate. But I would say it was maybe 1.5 times as wide or wider than the average size human male. The side profile was also very wide. I would also guess 1.5 times as wide as an average human male. Hair color was very dark, almost black. The head was slightly conical, but not to a sharp point. The face looked like it was mostly covered with hair except for around the eyes and nose. The eyes looked black or very dark brown. The lights didn't really hit the face directly, so we didn't get any type of eye shine. The skin tone around the hands and face that I could see looked like kind of a brownish gray color. Not sure really how to describe it. It was kind of weird mixed tones of two colors. Hopefully that makes sense. I didn't get a good look at the feet, but it was feet, not paws. The way it was moving for sure was like it was on feet and not paws. I know this may sound like a cop-out, but the closest thing I have seen in all the videos I've seen over the years is Patty from the Patterson-Gimlin film. But this creature had no signs of breasts, and to me it seemed slightly larger than Patty, but not a lot bigger. Even the way it moved makes me think of Patty, only it was moving a lot faster. Like I said, it paced us, going at least 25 miles per hour, and ran out in front of the truck at least 20 yards ahead of us, then took one step as it turned in front of the truck, and the next stride was on the opposite side of the road, and we lost it in the trees as it went down the hill. Here are the GPS coordinates of the location on the road where we saw it. I hope you guys all enjoyed James' Bigfoot sighting report. I certainly did. This is kind of a bread and butter area. We're here a lot investigating Bigfoot sightings, researching, looking for evidence. It's an amazing area. The entire Wasatch Front, which connects to the Uinta Mountains, is a Bigfoot sighting hotspot location in the north part of Utah. Keep on watching. We're going to keep on squatching.